Hey, what's up guys? My name is Jabari Mongoose and this is my Pokemon Yellow Legacy Hard Mode Nuzlocke Challenge. Pokemon Yellow Legacy is created by Smith Plays Pokemon and his team, and it's a love letter to the Gen 1 Pokemon games. I choose the new female avatar, which I love the design, and I name myself Eriquette. I was so excited to start my run that I go into the grass without a Pokemon, but fortunately Professor Oak saves me. He ends up catching a wild Pikachu before we head back to his lab. Back at the lab, he clearly shows favoritism over us over his grandson Adam, as we get to pick our starter Pokemon, which is this Eevee over here. However, Adam shows that he is a D-bag, and he completely pushes us out of the way to get the Eevee himself. But it's okay, because Professor Oak decides to give us the Pikachu that he caught earlier. And I'm still going to be nicknaming Pokemon after followers and subscribers, so this guy is named Kingpin, and I can tell he's going to take over the entire Kanto region. Before I can do anything else, Adam challenges me to a Pokemon battle, and by Pokemon battle, I just use 3 Thunder Shocks and Kingpin knocks out Eevee. So, a good start to this run. I decide to go to the Pokemart in Viridian City, and I'm getting Professor Oak's parcel. Doing so gets me the Pokedex as well as some Pokeballs, so the run officially begins. Adam boasts how he's going to get a town map, but his sister won't let me borrow it, but clearly his sister likes me more, so I get a town map anyway, so suck it, Adam. Okay, now it's time to catch some Pokemon. First encounter on Route 1 is a Pidgey. We catch him no problem, and I name it a Bexel. My next encounter is a Nidoran, which I believe this is on Route 2. I'll stamp it on the video if I got it wrong. I catch this guy and name him Sean. This is going to be good because I need some answers to Brock's Rock-type Pokemon. My next encounter is on Viridian Forest, and it's a Caterpie. This guy looks like a big, strong bug type, so after catching him, I name him Andre. I freaking love that nickname. My last encounter before my rival fight, I believe this is Route 22 or something. Again, I'll stamp it on the video. But it's a Mankey, which is great. Nidoran, Mankey, and then also having a Butterfree. I feel pretty good going up against Brock. So catching this guy, and I nickname him Gasms. Next is the second rival fight. I definitely wanted to do this one because I want to fight his Jolteon team at the end of the game. So right here he leads off with a Spearow, and Kingpin with some Thunder Shocks and a Quick Attack gets the knockout really easy. Right here I continue on the assault with Thunder Shock, and Eevee goes for a Tail Whip. So right here I switch into Gasms, which the Eevee is going for a Sand Attack, and I'm not hitting my low kicks. So after getting a defense drop, I go back into Kingpin. And I stay in after being Tail Whipped so I can get a Thunder Wave off. And right here, it's just switching it back into Gasms. And just gonna have to go through the defense drops. Doesn't look like it's attacking, but one low kick secures the win. Next, it's going through Viridian Forest, finding the bug catchers, and getting to Pewter City. And after one of my fights, Andre went from being a Metapod to now into a Butterfree. So this is great. He's going to learn Confusion, which is really good against Brock's especially weak rock types. But before we get to Pewter City, we have to fight one more bug catcher. And this is a reference to the anime. This is the bug catcher in Viridian Forest that has a Pinsir and a Metapod. So right here it goes for a Harden and then a Focus Energy. And the thing is, I didn't heal my Pokemon because I did not know if Smith Place was going to add this trainer or not. And I should have expected that he did. So I have a very weak Butterfree that could have been helpful. But right here I go into Kingpin, who sets up the Thunder Wave and then is able to get some Thunder Shocks in. And I am just very lucky that he didn't go for another Vice Grip there, because I could have lost Kingpin right here. And then after that, it's just his Metapod, which doesn't have anything other than Harden, I'm pretty sure. And we win. But that was really freaking scary. Oh boy. And honestly, after that, nothing really exciting happened. Just some training, fighting Brock's one gym trainer, and then now it's time to fight him. He still leads with the same team as in the original Yellow games. It's going to be Geodude and Onix. But the thing is, Onix got a humongous stat buff in this game. It's almost like Ariados in Crystal Legacy, and where that you see Onix in the Elite Four in the end. So they wanted to give it some better stats to, you know, represent that, I guess. So Geodude gets knocked out really quickly by Gasms, and now I have to deal with Bide shenanigans because Onix is really stupid fast here. So after using Bind a couple of times, I am able to get some double kicks off from Sean, and then he finally goes for his signature move, Bide. And this Onix is really bulky, and here's the thing, looking back at it, I probably could have stayed in, but I was nervous, and so I go into Andre the Butterfree. I did a stupid, and I thought that Bide was done for some reason, and after getting a confusion off, Onix kills Andre with a Bide. So yeah, that happened. But I go in for a few more switches here and there, and it has Screech, but its only really attacking move is Bind and Constrict, so I can kind of work around that. And after getting severely weakened, I go into Kingpin, who cannot be affected by Bind, and I just go for Growls when he goes for Bide and Quick Attack when he's out of it, and I'm actually able to get the win. This is pretty cool. I got a win off of Kingpin to Pikachu. So yeah, this is my first badge. The one loss sucks, but hopefully I can do better in that in the future. I hope people enjoyed this episode, and look forward to episode 2. Hey guys, welcome to my Pokemon Yellow Hard Mode Nuzlocke Challenge. This is part 2 as I beat Brock last episode. Right here we're on Route 3 just before Mount Moon, and we're going to get my encounter here, and I get myself a Rattata. So, I'm good with Raticates. Hyper Fang is pretty awesome, so yeah, I'm okay with this. I catch this guy no problem, and I give him the really epic name of Fallen Order. Once I get to the Pokemon Center at the entrance of Mount Moon, this is technically Route 4, so I decided to make my encounter here the Magikarp you can buy from the gentleman here for $500. Because Gyarados gets Fly in this game, just like in Crystal Legacy, so I'm going to abuse that. We're going to name this guy Kokiri. Now it's time to trek into Mount Moon, and my encounter here is going to be a Zubat. Pretty standard. Insert Zubat meme jokes here or whatever. Anyway, I catch this guy, and I nickname him Daniel, because I think he looks like a Daniel. About going halfway through Mount Moon, Sean gets to level 16, knocking out some Geodudes, and evolves into Nidorino, which I am going to take full advantage of this. We're going to be fighting some tough poison types pretty soon. After beating up the Super Nerd who has the 2 fossils, I decided to go with the Dome Fossil. I know Lord Helix fans will be upset, but Kabutops is personally my favorite fossil Pokemon, and I will always take up the chance to use it whenever. Unfortunately, it looks like Jesse and James from Team Rocket are huge Kabuto fans as well, as they try to take the fossil away from me. They lead off with their Ekans, and I lead off with Kokiri because I've been switch training it, but the real person fighting here is going to be Sean. Now, granted, I should have healed, even if it was a little bit of HP. I apparently have not learned since fighting that bug catcher for Viridian Forest that had the pincer. But fortunately, Sean takes care of the Ekans, and then 2 double kicks is enough to put Meowth in the yellow, and I try to switch into Gasms to get some experience and also to defeat the Meowth. But Meowth lands 5 Fury Swipes, and Gasms has almost died. So right here, I'm just like, you know what? Whatever. We're going back into Sean. You know, they've been pretty useful in this so far. So right here, we get the knockout, and even though this is a coughing, I do decide to stay in, and I realize that was the bad choice because a crit would have killed on that tackle. I am gambling with these guys' lives here. But I go into Fallen Order, and this is his first kill, basically, in the recording. Yeah, so a little sloppy, but, we take those. Now, before going into Cerulean City and fighting my rival on Nugget Bridge, I decide to evolve Abexel to Pidgeotto, just giving it some more bulk and survivability. Alright, so now it's time to fight my rival on Nugget Bridge. This is going to be our third encounter. He has a few more Pokemon, but I mean, he still has his Eevee and stuff, and this is still, no matter which evolution you decide for your rival to have, this is all pretty much the same Pokemon they're going to have, at least until the Lavender Tower. Kingpin takes out the Spearow, and I still opt to stay in against a Rattata, at least getting a Thunder Wave. But right here, it's not using Hyper Fang, so I'm going for the 2-shot with Thunder Shock. And then right here brings out Bellsprout. This is an easy switch into Abelexel, who's going to get the knockout with a wing attack. And then we go into Gasms, who has been having a horrible string of luck with multi-hit moves. But right here, I'm going to switch in after being sand attacked and growled a couple of times. And we get the 1-shot with a low kick. No, sorry, the 2-shot. But yeah, this was a pretty clean rival fight. After defeating the Team Rocket Grunt at the end of Nugget Bridge, I go talk to the stranger on Route 24 to get my free Charmander. This is going to be, I'm looking for type coverage now. It's good we get a fire type this early. And I'm going to nickname him Avery. Next is my encounter on Route 25, and it's going to be a Bellsprout. I love Bellsprout. I'm happy with all the changes that Smith Plays and his team have done with it, because I really think it's an underwhelming Pokemon, or it can be better if it just had better movesets. So I'm happy to use it in this run. And he looks like a Benji, so you know what? We're going to nickname him Benji. Welcome to the team, buddy. Continuing the gauntlet of trainers to eventually get to Misty, Fallen Order evolves into Raticate, so we got a really powerful normal type here with Hyper Fang. I'm happy about that. Just going to show off a blunder here. I have fat thumbs, and I completely forgot to move down, and I got rid of Wing Attack for Whirlwind. So Abelexel is going to be crippled for a little bit until I get Fly. I next have fun traumatizing Kingpin with helping Bill out, but we get the tickets for the SS Anne for later on. It's at this point that my friendship with Kingpin is high enough that this woman will give her her Bulbasaur, and we nickname him Weirb. So welcome to the team. Alright, I battled all the trainers I could. I caught all the Pokemon that I could. Everyone's at level 21 that I bring into this fight, so now it's time to fight Misty. She leads off with a Psyduck, and I lead with Kingpin, who now knows Thunder Punch. And this gets the 1-shot, and then her next Pokemon is Goldeen. Rinse and repeat, another 1-shot. So right here, her last Pokemon is Starmie, and it knows Bubble Beam, it knows Confusion, it knows Swift, so this is a pretty good attacking monster. Fearing that Bubble Beam would get the knockout, I hard switch into Fallen Order, and Fallen Order nearly dies due to a critical hit. So I decided to go into Kokiri. I forgot to record that apparently, so sorry I'm missing out for that. But we just go for a few bites, and yeah, we get the gym badge. So it's pretty awesome. A good straightforward win. Almost had a loss here, but I'm glad that Fallen Order was able to hang on. So yeah. Hope people enjoy this episode. Next time we'll be going on to St. Anne and finding Lieutenant Surge. Hey, what's up guys? This is episode 3 of my Pokemon Yellow Legacy Hard Mode Nuzlocke Challenge. Last episode I beat Misty and got my second badge. On today's episode we're making our way to Vermilion City to challenge Lieutenant Surge. I go through the house that was mugged by Team Rocket, and fortunately the culprit is right behind the building. He has a Machop and a Drowsy, which Kingpin, my Pikachu, takes care of it no problem. Afterwards, he surrenders and gives us a TM for Dig. Next, I go to Route 5 to get my encounter, and it's a Meowth. Shoutouts to my buddy and my rival Adam, who his favorite Pokemon is Persian. I catch this guy with no issues, and I nickname him Beck. After going through the underground tunnel and making it to Route 6, my encounter here is a Magnemite. This is a good backup electric type since I plan on using Kingpin as long as possible. I end up catching this guy after chucking a few Pokeballs, and I nickname him Fade. I get to Vermilion City, and my first stop is the Pokemon Fan Club where I talk to the president, and he gives me probably a little too much information on why he likes Rapidash, but I won't shame or anything. And after hearing him talk, he gives me the bike voucher, so next time I go to Cerulean City, I can get my bicycle. I'm just about ready to go on the SS Anne, but before that, I'm going to go to Diglett Cave to get my encounter, and shocker, it's a Diglett. I end up catching him, and I nickname him DH. Okay, so now it's party time on the SS Anne. Going through here, definitely a good amount of trainers. I like all the variety of water types the sailors have. But really, it's no issue. In fact, the biggest accomplishment I end up doing is getting Sean to level 24 because he learns Dig. And if I had evolved him to Nidoking earlier, he would not learn Dig naturally. So now that I have Dig here, I'm going to use the Moonstone now and get myself Nidoking, which is going to be a great Pokemon to use against Lieutenant Surge. At this point, I beat every single trainer and got every single item, so now it's time to run into my rival. Again, his team is about the same as the last fight. He does have a Sandshrew this time, but this will be the last fight with just his Eevee. The next time I fight him, he will have his Eeveelution, which in this run, it's going to be Jolteon. So right here, Kingpin deals good damage to Eradicate, but I'm afraid that thing is going to use just Hyper Fang. I decide to switch into Kokiri, who's able to knock out the Eradicate. The next Pokemon is Weepinbell, and Gust is a one-shot. His next Pokemon is Sandshrew, and a couple of bites, and I get the knockout. You will notice that Kokiri does have water moves. There was a bug at this version of the game where he just learned all of his moves at once. So I'm trying to be proper and just use the moves that he could only use at this point. Alright, and then his last Pokemon is Eevee, and it's getting a little dicey. I didn't want any quick attack shenanigans. So I switch into Fallen Order. He takes a double kick, but that's fine because I just use quick attack and get the knockout. Yeah, so I'll be very interested to see what Pokemon my rival uses in our next fight. The captain of the SS Anne is feeling quite seasick right now, so I rub his back, he feels better, and we get the TM for Cut. That's everything we have to do on the SS Anne, so now it's time to go take on Lieutenant Surge. Alright, I got through the stupid trash puzzle, and now it's time to fight Lieutenant Surge. So the gimmick of this fight is he has a level 29 Raichu that knows Body Slam, it knows Thunderbolt, it knows Surf. And we have Pokemon level 24 because that's the level cap for this gym. Honestly, it makes me think that Raichu is like a totem Pokemon from the Sun and Moon games. I go into Kingpin because I want to paralyze with Thunder Wave, and Kingpin just barely lives a critical hit Body Slam. Knowing that Kingpin can't live here, I switch into Sean, and Raichu goes for a Surf. I believe it has something to do with the smart AI for the Gen 1 and 2 games, but that was just incredibly unfortunate. And Sean's at 13 HP. At this point, I can't just keep switching around. I decide to go for the attack, and I go for a dig, and I luckily get the one shot. I am so glad I waited for him to no dig. So that was a really quick fight, but I think anyone can see here how that was almost like a wipe, or I could have lost a lot of members. So I feel like I got really lucky there. But we get the third badge, the TM the Thunderbolt, and yeah, onward to get our fourth badge. So I decided to do some extra things before ending the episode. I go to Pewter City to get the Old Amber. So when I get to Cinnabar Island, I have the option of either getting Kabuto or Aerodactyl as my encounter there. Before I end the episode, I'm going to show off 3 more encounters I get. Since being Lieutenant Surge, I can talk to the Officer Jenny to get a Squirtle. And I nicknamed this guy Adrian. So I decided to backtrack to Viridian City because I got my hands on the Good Rod. They placed it earlier in this game. And I decided to get my fishing encounter, which is a Horsey. And I'm going to go ahead and start using this guy because I really like Seadra. And its nickname is going to be It's Alpha. And then finally, before I close off this episode, I'm going to get my Route 11 encounter, and it's going to be Drowsy. This is good. First Psychic type for this run right now. And takes a little bit of effort, but I end up catching him, and I nickname him Quit W. So I hope people enjoyed this episode. Next episode will be going to Celadon City and taking on Erica. So have a good one. What's up, guys? Welcome to episode 4 of my Pokemon Yellow Legacy Nuzlocke challenge, and this is on hard mode. Last episode I got my 3rd badge, so today we're on our way to Celadon City to get my 4th badge, but first we gotta go through the rock tunnel. So right here is Route 9. My encounter is going to be a Fearow, and after catching him I nickname him Mendoza. Following up with that, I get my encounter on Route 10. It's a female Nidoran, and I nickname her BR Yeet. And just before going through the rock tunnel, I get my encounter with Geodude, and I nickname him Peters. And now it's actually going through the rock tunnel, and I'll be honest, it's a lot more boring than I expected. I haven't played the original Red and Blue and Yellow games in forever, so I had to do double takes on the guides to make sure I didn't miss any items, and no, there's just no items here. Just a bunch of trainer battles, which isn't bad, but yeah, this is probably the most boring part of the game so far. But one cool thing that does happen is Gasms, after fighting some trainers and wild Pokemon, evolves into Primeape. So that's pretty cool. After getting through the rock tunnel, I do get to Lavender Town, but right now it's best for me to take care of the Pokemon Tower stuff after I go to Celadon City and take on Team Rocket, so that's what I'm going to do. While fighting some trainers on Route 8, I come into a dangerous situation where I swap in Kingpin for Gasms on Eradicate, and I end up taking a Hyper Fang that puts Gasms in the red. It was a crit, so almost died there. I end up switching to Sean, and because Eradicate starts going for Dig, I'm able to outmaneuver it with my own Dig, so thank you for the save. After that scare, I do finally get my encounter on Route 8, and it's a Growlithe, so I'm excited to use it if it didn't use Roar. So, unfortunately, this is a whiff encounter. Oh well. Next, going on Route 7, just before Celadon City, my encounter is a Vulpix, and this Pokemon also can learn Roar, but fortunately, my luck is better this time around, and I catch it, and I nickname her Banan after my wife. Before I decide to challenge the Celadon City Gym, I decide to do a little bit of shopping. I get some drinks that I give to a girl on the top floor of the marketplace, and I'm able to get some really powerful TMs like Ice Beam. I get counter from a clerk behind the desk, and I also buy some evolution stones, specifically a leaf stone for Weepin' Bell. And then, after doing all that, I decide to go ahead and evolve Benji into a Victory Bell. Afterwards, I go to some apartment buildings to steal this man's Eevee, and I nickname her Gamboa. Not going to use it yet. I'm going to wait and see if I start lacking into some types before I decide to evolve it. One last thing, I go west of Celadon City to talk to this girl to get the TM for Fly, so that Pidgeotto learns a better move than Gust because I was stupid and got rid of Wing Attack by a misclick. I walk past a peeping old man, and it's time to go through the gym. The trainers weren't that difficult, and I get my team set up. I got like my Charmeleon, I got a Venusaur, and I also brought guys like Benji and Fallen Order. So I'm feeling pretty good about this. Okay, now it's time to start the gym battle. Erica leads off with her Tangela, and I lead with Avery the Charmeleon. Fire Punch is going to be an easy 2-hit KO, and Avery dodges the Stun Spore, so this is making me feel pretty good. She then leads off with her Victory Bell, and right here I go for a Fire Punch, which looks like a 2-hit KO. Acid does 30 damage and gets the defense drop. So I go for another Fire Punch, and I low rolled, and Victory Bell crits. And yeah, that was really stupid of me. I don't know why I didn't switch out Charmeleon, but you know, this happens. Abalexo, my Pidgeotto, gets the KO, and then we go against Ivysaur, and Fly is doing some good damage. Another quick attack knocks out the Ivysaur. And so right here, she brings out her Vileplume. Now, not wanting to make the same mistake twice, I switch into Benji to Victory Bell. And right here, I take an Acid and I get the defense drop. Fearing a crit and everything after wasting one turn and being fully paralyzed, I hard switch into Weird the Venusaur. And takes an Acid, you know, pretty good, and he outspeeds, and we get the knockout on the Vileplume. So, yeah, Acid, really good move in this game. Very scary. So, yeah, that's my 4th badge. Tune in for the next episode, and we'll fight Team Rocket and go through the Pokemon Tower. Hey, what's up, guys? This is episode 5 of my Pokemon Yellow Hard Mode Nuzlocke Challenge. We'll get right into it. No gym leader fight today. Today's going to be focused purely on Team Rocket. So I go into the game corner and I confront the Team Rocket grunt that has to switch behind the poster, and we easily take him out. After going through the spinning puzzles, Smith Plays and his team made the animation a little faster. Thank you for that. We find the grunt that has the lift key so that we can use the elevator. And honestly, he has nothing too crazy. Just a coughing and a Golbat. Nothing that a Sean the Nidoking can't take care of. And we get the lift key, and he craps out the lift key after we beat him. I raid the rest of the hideout before going up on the elevator. After we go out, we are confronted by Jesse and James for a rematch. This rematch isn't even that hard at all. They have a Coughing and Meowth and then their newly evolved Arbok. The Kokiri, my Gyarados, just knocks everyone out. I'm obviously overleveled, so I beat Erica before challenging Team Rocket, and I didn't look at the level scaling because otherwise I would have taken care of Team Rocket before Erica. But, you know, it happens. Basically, I'm just going to be a little overleveled during the Giovanni fight, which I really don't care. So since Giovanni is a ground-type trainer primarily with some normal types, I lead with Benji the Victory Bell, and basically we're going to see one of the more broken aspects of the game, which is, you know, high crit moves at certain levels of your Pokemon are always going to crit because it's based on your speed stat. Benji's Razor Leaf is just going to be an instant crit. We knock out the Onix, we knock out the Kangaskhan, we knock out the Marowak, and then his last Pokemon is Persian, and we knock it out as well. And we also grow to level 37. So, yeah, again, if you're looking for like a route for like level scaling sake, take care of Giovanni first before you take on Erica. Alright, so after that good old pub stopping, we're now going to fight our rival in the Lavender Tower. Now everything is basically we're scaled with everything else now. Our rival has a really good team, and this is where it branches off depending on what evolution you get. So this is going to be it when he has Jolteon. Kingpin, the Pikachu, takes care of his Fearow and his Shelter with no problem. His next Pokemon is a Growlithe, and I decide to bring in Kokiri, who is going to easily take him out with a Surf. His next Pokemon is going to be his Kadabra, and again, Kadabra has really poor physical defense, so a Fly knocks it out. His last Pokemon is his Jolteon, but I just switch into Nidoking or Sean, and we just take him out with a Dig. So this was fortunately very easy, and one thing I do like is his team is going to be constantly changing until we get his final team against the Elite Four. Fighting the Channelers was surprisingly a lot of fun in this game. They have a lot more Pokemon to use, like Ninetales and Drowsy, along with the Ghost types. So this was a really welcome addition. I just wanted to mention that real quick. So now I get to the top of the tower, and it's time to fight the Ghost of the Dead Marowak, which is really cool, but unfortunately it's trivial with a Gyarados or any water type. So yeah. I've been using Kokiri a lot lately, but it's a good Pokemon. We get to like the last floor, and Jesse and James come back. No, this is pretty cool that I fought in the Team Rocket hideout first, because this just means like it's back-to-back Jesse and James, which is actually kind of cool. So Kokiri takes out the Meowth, no problem. Then their next Pokemon is Arbok, which I just go for a Fly, and it gets the one shot again. They're not too much higher level than they were at the Rocket Hideout. Then their newest addition, which is Lickitung, they're starting to add more Pokemon from their anime teams, which is really, really cool. 2 hits on Waterfall knocks out the Lickitung, and then the last Pokemon is their newly evolved Weezing, which basically is just a 2-shot with a Fly and then a Bite. Really easy. I don't think I would have had any issue if I didn't have Kokiri, but again, Gyarados is one of the best Pokemon in Nuzlocke for a reason. But anyway, we rescue Mr. Fuji, and then we go back to his house, and he gives us the Poké Flute. And here's where I think I'll end. This was really cool Team Rocket stuff for this episode. Tune in for next episode, which I will go after my 5th gym badge. What's up, guys? This is part 6 of my Pokemon Yellow Legacy Nuzlocke Challenge. Today I'm en route to my 5th badge, but I have this big fat roadblock in the way. This tub of lard is a Snorlax, and I gotta try to get this guy. I only have 2 chances, and Snorlax is pretty good. High HP, high special defense, can do some work. So right here I get Abalexal, my Pidgeot, to use Sand Attack 6 times, so that I can safely switch into Kingpin, my Pikachu. Now, Pikachu is going to use Thunder Wave and get the Paralysis. After that, I switch into Kokiri, the Gyarados, to be a sponge, a tank, so I can chuck Pokeballs. At one point, after failing like 3 or 4 times, I decide to go use some Waterfalls, since Snorlax has max special defense with Amnesia, and that was enough to get him into the red to catch him. So yeah, first attempt on Snorlax, don't have to worry about the second one, and I nicknamed this guy Spatola. After that, it's just going through the cycling road. I do catch a Doduo on the route and name it Trey, but I forgot to record it. And then I get to Fuchsia City, but I don't end up staying here for too long, as I immediately use Fly to get to Saffron City, because I want to get I want to challenge the Fighting Dojo to get a Hitmonchan. Defeating the Black Belts is no problem, and defeating the Karate Master is not an issue either. He does have a Hitmonlee and a Hitmonchan, but with Abalexal and using Fly, it's just able to take him out. He does take a Thunder Punch from Hitmonchan, and I was a little worried because Hitmonchan has a much higher special stat in this game, but fortunately I would have survived even if it crit, and again, we just get the knockouts, and I get my Hitmonchan, and I nickname him Mass Dark. While training my newly acquired Hitmonchan, I run into a Venonat on Route 15. I catch him with no issues, and I nickname him Utus. At one point, I decide to go take a break and explore Fuchsia City, and this is really cool. See, they changed the fishing rods to where you get them earlier, so this fishing guru who would normally give you a super rod gives you what I believe is the other fossil that you choose not to get in Mount Moon. So I get an Ammonite here, and I nickname it Ortega. After a lot of grinding, I get everyone to level 43, which is the next level cap, and I go into the Fuchsia Gym. I've already taken out all the trainers off screen, as well as his daughter Janine, who they added as a gym trainer here, and she had a pretty good team. But now all that's left is Koga. So Koga can be you can challenge him as the 4th, 5th, or 6th gym leader, and his Pokemon and levels will scale accordingly. So this is him as the 5th badge. He has 4 Pokemon. The match leads off with his Golbat, and I lead with Kingpin. Kingpin outspeeds and knocks out with the Thunderbolt. His next Pokemon is going to be his Muck, and I decide to switch into Sean the Nidoking. Muck goes for a Mega Drain, and it really doesn't do much, and Sean gets the one-hit KO with an Earthquake. Koga then brings out his Tentacruel, and this thing is actually the toughest Pokemon on his team. I switch into Spatola, who unfortunately gets frozen by Ice Beam. Tentacruel starts using Poison, Sludge, and Ice Beam to dwindle my health, and I'm not breaking out of freezing. The freeze stat is completely busted in this game like sleep, but it just doesn't occur that often. So I decide to switch it to Kokiri, and he's able to get the knockout with 2 flies. So again, Gyarados is just absolutely busted in Nuzlocke, no matter what generation you're in. All that's left is his Venomoth, and even though he was scaring me with a Solar Beam, Kokiri hits the fly, and we get the 5th badge. And Toxic, so that's pretty cool. The last thing on today's episode is going through the Safari Zone. After paying my entry fee, I go ahead and get my encounter before I get all the items and like the gold teeth and surf. My encounter is going to be an Execute. We catch him with no issues, and I actually forgot to nickname him. I think I may have just had fat thumbs again. But if I remember correctly, I named him Kyler Yap. If not, I will adjust the name on the screen, but I do, fix the nickname issue in a future episode. I retrieve all the items as well as the gold teeth, and I get the TM for Surf in this little shack right here. After that, I leave the Safari Zone, go to the Warden's house so that he can finally talk again, and he gives me the TM for Strength. And I just teach it to Kingpin real quick because he can learn every HM in the game to get that rare candy right behind that boulder. So yeah, that was today's episode. Pretty straightforward, no deaths, always nice. Tune in for next week's episode where I go for the 6th badge and take on Team Rocket in the Silphco. Hey guys, this is episode 7 of my Pokemon Yellow Legacy Nuzlocke Challenge. Today's episode we're taking on Silphco and then Giovanni, and hopefully getting to badge number 7. Right here you can see a little bit of me fighting the Team Rocket grunts in the area. Basically my main goal was to defeat as many as I can and try to find the keypad, and then be able to find the bed so where you can heal in Silphco, and then also find my rival, and then prep from there. The level cap is, I believe it's 50 or 47. Right here, this one Team Rocket grunt has a Hypno, and with Kingpin, we're just doing some stuff doing strength, and I go for a Thunderbolt hoping it will kill, but it doesn't. And the Hypno gets a critical hit on his Sidekick, and I lose my starter. I lose Kingpin. It kind of sucks. So here's the thing. It sucks, but I'm not as devastated as maybe I should be. Pikachu is so frail in this, and Smith plays in his team did work on some things to get Pikachu stronger, but you know, a Psychic from a Hypno or like any good Psychic Pokemon is gonna hurt it. So I hate it, but at the same time, I feel like it was kind of unavoidable. This other match right here is I didn't heal, and I don't learn from these a lot. Sean lands an awesome horn drill here, which is pretty cool, and almost dies to a Psychic. But fortunately, Banan, my Ninetales, is able to get the kill here. We're at the point in the game where a lot of Pokemon are going to learn moves like Wrap and Fire Spin, and basically the constricting moves, and they're absolutely busted in this game. I gambled and I shouldn't have, and will I learn my lesson from this? I don't think so. After mourning the loss of Kingpin, I get a new electric type for my box. It's going to be Magnemite, Fade the Magnemite I should say. Level him up to a Magneton, and basically I get my team ready to fight Adam. So right here, he leads off with a Parasect, and I lead with Mass Dark, who one-shots with Fire Punch. His next Pokemon is going to be Gyarados, and Mass Dark is going to be able to get the 2 shots with Thunder Punch. I'm trying to use Hitmonchan since it basically has better special in this game, and I kind of wanted to use it as like a Swiss Army knife to use super effective moves. So far, I like it. Right here, he goes into Rhydon, and I switch into Kokiri, who I expected to take a Rock Slide, but that's okay because I get the one-shot with Surf. His next Pokemon is going to be Alakazam, and I really don't have a good switch into it. Banan and Ninetales would probably be good, but fortunately I outspeed and I just one-shot with Fly. And then the last Pokemon is going to be Jolteon. And right here, I switch into Sean the Nidoking, who's just going to use his signature move, Earthquake, and we get the win. So, yeah, pretty riskless. Well, the Rock Slide on Gyarados was a little iffy, but otherwise, I felt pretty good on how I played this out. It honestly just sucks losing Kingpin to Rocket Grunt, but oh well. Afterwards, I talk to the gentleman next to Adam, and he gives me a Lapras, and I nickname her Escobar. I run back to heal before going to the next teleporter, and I fight Jesse and James one last time. So this being the final fight between them, this is going to be, they're going to have their full team with, basically they had one last Pokemon from the anime they hadn't introduced yet. They lead off with Weezing, and we're going to start with a little Sean sweep here. We go with an Earthquake that gets the one-shot. We are over-leveled for this because we're also prepping for the Sabrina fight. Next Pokemon is Lickitung, and it really can't do much to us, so an Earthquake and a Sludge gets the knockout. Their next Pokemon is Arbok, which an Earthquake just gets the kill. And then the next Pokemon is going to be Meowth, and we're going to go for a double kick. I respect just keeping Meowth, but yeah, it makes it pretty easy. Then our last Pokemon is Victory Bell, so we go for an Earthquake that just barely misses the one-shot, and then it starts to use Wrap. So, because this will be several turns of this crap, I decide to just go and switch into Banan, who is able to outspeed and kill with a Flamethrower, so really easy, very, very straightforward. Okay, next it's time to take on Giovanni. So right here, this is a pretty, he has a pretty good team. A lot of Pokemon from like his team in the anime. He's going to lead off with a Kingler, and he has a Golem in the back. So I lead off with Benji, and we're going to show like the power of Benji here. We have the always critical hit Razor Leaf, which gets the knockout on Kingler, and then we go for a Wrap, and because we outspeed, basically we're going to get some turns of Wrap in, and this Kangaskhan is not going to be able to do anything. So after 5 turns of Wrap, and then 1 critical hit Razor Leaf just gets a knockout. Like, Victory Bell is insane. He goes with a Machoke, and not seeing this thing be able to do much to me, I go for a Razor Leaf. We get hit with a Rock Slide, which is whatever, and then a Sludge gets the finishes it off. And then his next Pokemon is Golem. So again, we're just going to go for a Razor Leaf. This will definitely get the one shot. It's a crit, by the way. And then his last Pokemon is going to be his trusty Persian. We do also learn Sleep Powder here, which is awesome. Sleep Powder, Wrap, Razor Leaf, Sludge. This is just the perfect moveset for Victory Bell, in my opinion. So right here, we go into Persian. It outspeeds us, so if I do end up hitting the Wrap, but this is a little dicey to stay in here. So what I decide to do is I go into my Kokiri. But again, because of the whole smart AI thing, the AI sees this and it goes for a Thunderbolt, actually. So now I need to switch into someone else. And it actually knows Bubble Beam, so I didn't want to go into Sean. So I actually go into Fade the Magneton, who makes his debut on the show. He's able to take a Slash, and then we get the knockout of a Thunderbolt, and that takes care of Giovanni. A little scary towards the end there, but overall, just love showing off the power of Victory Bell here. And we get our Master Ball from the CEO of Silphco. Okay, so after dealing with Team Rocket, now it's time to continue our gym challenge and fight Sabrina for the 6th badge. So the level cap here is 47. Like Erica and Koga, she would have a different team if you fight her as like the 5th or the 6th badge. But so basically, in honor of Yellow version, she does still have the full Abra line plus 2 more Pokemon. So right here, we start with Banon, who's able to get some Fire Spins off, and then is able to get the finish off the Abra with a Nightshade. Her next Pokemon is going to be a Hypno, and we still outspeed, so we're just going to continue to abuse the Fire Spin shenanigans right here. And now Fire Spin has a chance to miss, but I'm just being very fortunate right now, and I'm landing all of them. And then we go for a Nightshade, which has a base power of 80 in this game, but it wasn't enough to knock out Hypno, but a second one does. Her next Pokemon is going to be Mr. Mime, and again, might be a little boring here, but we're just going to keep doing the Fire Spin shenanigans. And then we finish off the Mr. Mime with a Flamethrower. So, good showing here. Next is Abra, which we still outspeed miraculously. And right here I go for a Flamethrower. Does not get the kill. And then Kadabra goes for a Psychic, which I think a crit would have actually killed me. And I decide to switch into Fade, who has a very good special stat. And me fearing that Fade is still going to die, I decide to go into Abalexel, the Pidgeot, who takes a Psywave pretty well, and I go for a Quick Attack, which gets the knockouts. Now right here, Abalexel is unfortunately, if he dies here, he dies. But fortunately, I outspeed. I land my Sky Attack, and we get the one-shot Alakazam, which, no shy to Alakazam. If it had turned to attack, it probably would have killed me. But yeah, we got my 6th badge here, and no deaths. So I'm riding high here. Rest in peace, Pikachu. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next episode. What's up, guys? This is part 8 of my Pokemon Yellow Legacy Hardcore Nuzlocke challenge. Today is about going to Cinnabar Island and taking on the gym to get our 7th badge. After that, it's Giovanni, then the Elite Four. So I'm really wrapping up here. As soon as I get to Cinnabar Island, I heal up my Pokemon, and then I go to the lab to get my encounter, which is going to be a fossil Pokemon. Now, originally, I went to Mount Moon, and I got the Dome Fossil, but in Fuchsia City, I got the other fossil from the Fisherman, which was an Ammonite. So really, and honestly, I don't need much of a water Pokemon right now. I got a lot in my box. So instead of getting Kabuto, I'm going to use the old Amber to get Aerodactyl. What's also pretty cool is that there's 2 scientists on the left here they'll help you delete moves and relearn moves in this game, which is pretty cool. That was a feature that Smith Plays and his team added in Crystal Legacy, and I'm happy they brought it back to Yellow Legacy. After taking a very, very short walk, I go back to the scientist, and he has already revived our fossil. So now we got Aerodactyl, and I nicknamed this guy Mano Sky. After getting my Cinnabar Island encounter, I go through the abandoned mansion. I have to get a key to unlock Blaine's gym. Apparently him and his gym trainers locked themselves in. I cannot explain how that happened, especially since he has burglars on the team, but to be honest, it was very uneventful, so I just kind of breezed through it. I got some good and powerful TMs, and I got the key to open the gym, and some rare candies that will prove useful towards the last bit of grinding I'm going to do in this game. So, that's all it really is. And then now, it's going through the gym. I intentionally get every question wrong so I can fight the trainers, because I want to do every bit of grinding I can before I have to top everyone off to the level cap, which for the 7th gym badge is 52 or 53. After completely flunking through Blaine's challenge, it's now time to take him on. I feel pretty confident. I have Sean, the Nidoking, I have Adrian and Kokiri, my Blastoise and Gyarados respectively, and then I have Banan, the Ninetales, as for fire resistance, but you'll see this is going to be a pretty clean sweep. So Sean knocks out the Rapidash with an Earthquake, and then comes in Charizard. Right here I go into Adrian, who takes a Seismic Toss with no problem, and basically the strategy is to see how many kills I can get with Hydro Pump before I have to switch into Kokiri. So Hydro Pump hits the Ninetales, we get the one, hits Charizard and gets the one shot, and then it hits the Ninetales, we get another one shot. We then go into Arcanine, which Hydro Pump misses, and then he has the Agility, and then he goes for a Double Edge. Fortunately, he did not crit. And then we hit the second Hydro Pump, and we get the one shot, and then finally his Ace Magmar, and we just hit the Hydro Pump and get the one shot. So pretty uneventful, very, very clean sweep. So now we get to focus on going through badge number 8. We're going to go and challenge Giovanni now, so this should be exciting. This is going to be a very short episode, but I hope people enjoyed it, and tune in for next week for episode 9. Hey guys, this is part 9 of my Pokemon Yellow Legacy Hard Mode Nuzlocke Challenge. And today I'm going to be going back to Viridian City to challenge Giovanni. Before that, one of the last areas I hadn't gone through yet was the power plant. And so I come over here to get some extra items and also get an encounter. My encounter here is going to be a Voltorb, which I am actually able to catch, and I nickname him Payday. With the power plant taken care of, I head over to the Viridian Gym now. Before fighting Giovanni, I do decide to just fight as many trainers as I can. Typically, there's a way where you just need to fight like 2 trainers, and then you can go up against Giovanni. But of course, the level cap is 55, and not every one of my members is 55, so I'm trying to get to that point. I'm actually not using rare candies in this run, mainly because the level grinding is really not that bad in this game. I can usually do it pretty quickly. So while fighting this first trainer, he leads with an Arbok, and I go into, Sean the Nidoking. And after getting wrapped a couple of times, we are able to get the knockout with an Earthquake. I actually did also teach Sean the TM for Ice Beam, because in my eyes, Sean's a Nidoking is an Elite 4 Mon, or can be a potential one. So I'm thinking of options to deal with Lance's Dragon-type Pokemon. Next is the guy's Tauros, and I go for an Earthquake, which just barely gets the one shot. It was a crit, actually, so Tauros being physically bulky. He goes for a takedown that also crits and knocks out Sean. Yeah. So I'm not going to lie to you guys, this one hurts a lot. Sean was one of the first Pokemon I caught in this run, and saved my butt a lot, particularly with the fight against Lieutenant Surge. I'm very certain that Raichu would have wiped us, or at the very least crippled our team a lot, had it not been for Sean. So this just sucks. But, you know, we're going to go ahead and put him away, and then I have to think of something else on how I want to continue this gym. So, be back in a few seconds. Okay, guys, so with the power of editing, I'm able to, you know, get to where my team is at level 55, and I feel like I have a pretty solid team for this fight against Giovanni. We have Benji, my Victory Bell, along with Kokiri the Gyarados. I did teach Gyarados Hyper Beam, so I can spam the recharge skip in Gen 1. The newest member is Quit W, the Hypno. So I've been thinking of having a Psychic type on the team, and honestly, Hypno is pretty good. Then we have Mass Dark, the Hitmonchan, with his elemental punches and a Karate Chop that always crits. Mano Sky, one of our other newest members, who's also rocking moves like Earthquake and Hyper Beam. And then we got Adrian, the Blastoise, who is going to be bulky and has Surf and Ice Beam. So I feel like he's going to be pretty good going into this gym fight. After dealing with the two mandatory trainer battles, basically it's time to fight Giovanni and get some revenge for the loss of Sean. So here's how this fight goes. Giovanni first leads off with a Dugtrio, and I lead with Benji the Victory Bell. After taking a slash that does crit, doesn't surprise me, we also crit with our Razor Leaf and get the knockout. This next Pokemon is going to be Nidoqueen, and so right here I'm able to hit the Sleep Powder to put it asleep, and then I switch into Quit W the Hypno. Hypno is able to get the one-shot with a Dream Eater. A little bit of synergy between my Pokemon right now. And then his next Pokemon is going to be a Persian. I go for a Hypnosis, which does not get the does not hit. And so instead of trying to chance hitting not hitting it again, I go for Psychic. I get a crit, and I almost died to a Hyper Beam if it had crit. So right here, he has his own Nidoking, you jerk. And it's not good for me to switch right now, so I just take the chance, and fortunately Quit W outspeeds and gets the one-shot with Psychic. His last Pokemon is Rhydon, and so I go into Adrian, who is very bulky and is able to handle a submission. And he retaliates with a Surf, and we get the one-shot. So fortunately, we were able to beat Giovanni, risking Quit W, but overall this was a very, very decisive victory. So we got all 8 badges, a pretty heavy casualty along the way, but you know what? All that's left now is to go through Victory Road and challenge the Pokemon League. So thank you for everyone who has been watching this series up to this point, or anyone who just picked it up. But yeah, tune in for my next episode, where it's going to be about going through Victory Road and prepping for the Pokemon League. So catch you guys later. Hey guys, what's up? This is part 10 of my Pokemon Yellow Legacy Hard Mode Nuzlocke Challenge. Double digits, man. This is awesome. We just got 8 badges last episode, and now it's basically going through Victory Road and challenge the Pokemon League. But before that, I gotta fight my rival Adam again, who has... This is actually not his final team. One thing I like about the update to this Yellow Legacy is that every single time you fight him towards the late game, that means Silphco, that means right here before Victory Road, and then the champion fight, he has a different full team of 6 every single time. So right here he has his Jolteon, which is his ace, so he brings it out first. And I have Benji the Victory Bell. And right here, its best move against me is Pin Missile, and I go for a critical hit Razor Leaf. and he gets a low roll on the second pin missile, which is nice, and we get the knockout with Razor Leaf. His next Pokemon is going to be Pidgeot, and I switch into Fade, my Magneton, who has replaced Kingpin the Pikachu, RIP man. And we take a Double Edge with no problem, and outspeed and kill with a Thunderbolt. His next Pokemon right here is going to be Executor, and this little guy is a pain in the butt, mainly because of Sleep Powder. So right here I go into Banan the Ninetales, and unfortunately he hits the Sleep Powder and the Leech Seed, and I'm just staying in because if I can wake up early enough and hit a fire move, it's going to get knocked out. Solar Beam does okay damage. It's funny because they increased the move up to 180 base power, and Banan resisted it pretty well. So not wanting to take another one, I decide to switch into Quit W, my Hypno, who, takes it pretty okay. And I get to hit a Hypnosis back, so now we'll see how Executor likes this. I go for a Dream Eater, and he's still falling asleep, so until he wakes up, I'm just going to keep doing some Dream Eaters to restore my HP from the Solar Beam. And fortunately, Executor's not waking up, so we're just going to get fully healed here. This was good because that Pokemon was putting in the work, and that was scary. So his next Pokemon is going to be Marowak, and I go into my physically bulky Adrian, the Blastoise, who's able to take a Rock Slide with no problem and retaliate with a one-hit KO on Surf. His next Pokemon is going to be Arcanine, and I just stay in and we outspeed, and I go for a Hydro Pump. And get the one-shot. So Adrian becoming like a really valuable member towards the late game of this. His last Pokemon is going to be Alakazam, and I go into Quit W. And right here, it's going for some Tri-Attacks, and I'm going for some Mega Punches. And right here, he gets saved because Tri-Attack triggers the burn, and Mega Punch does not get the knockout. Right here, he goes for another Tri-Attack, and I miss my Mega Punch, which puts me in a pretty bad situation. I decide to go into Manosky because I figured he outspeeds the Alakazam, but we almost lost him due to a critical hit on a Psychic. 2 HP, I don't need this right now, just before the Pokemon League. Yeah. But thankfully, even with all that risk, I was able to outspeed and knock out the Alakazam, and now it's just going through the nice gates to confirm my 8 badges and then going into Victory Road. Honestly, nothing really exciting happens going through the gates. There is grass there, but I have all the Pokemon there. I can apparently get the starters, but I have them as well. So that's not going to happen. Going through the first level of Victory Road, I do get my encounter, which is going to be a Rhyhorn. A little late to use it. I do like it, though. Could be an option for my final team. I don't know. But, we get the paralysis on it, and I immediately catch it with a Pokeball, and his nickname is going to be John. I'm just going to let this fight happen in the background. I want to show off at least one of the trainers on Victory Road. Like, every trainer here has a pretty full team. Like, I don't think I fought anyone with less than 4 Pokemon, which is pretty nice. This kind of represents that these trainers have also beaten the gym challenge, just like me. And they have pretty good Pokemon on their final teams. So, yeah, like, both Yellow Legacy and Crystal Legacy, I think, have been fantastic games. I'm really excited because Smith Plays and his team are working on Emerald Legacy, and I like Pokemon Emerald. So, yeah, just looking forward to all this stuff. But anyway, my thought process is as long as I don't lose any Pokemon going through the trek on Victory Road, which I've been pretty fortunate so far, I think my final team for the Elite Four is going to be relatively the same as it is now. One Pokemon I'm considering of removing on the team is Banan the Ninetales, and that's mainly because I really don't see a lot of situations of where I can use it. The champion fights, yeah, like, Blue or Adam in this game does have some Pokemon that would be weak to fire, but I just don't think it's really worth it. So I'm thinking of some other members to add. I'm definitely adding in Fade. I'm also bringing Hypno, and I think I'm bringing Adrian the Blastoise. Hypno has been proving to be a very valuable member at this point in the game. I really needed a Psychic type, and so I'm happy I got that. So, yeah, this is just a little bit of a ramble here. Just some thoughts I'm thinking of about the Crystal Lake, the Legacy games altogether, and going into the Pokemon League. Well, I made it through Victory Road with no problems, no deaths. So I now have a pretty stacked amount of Pokemon. Like, I have a full box worth and maybe like 5 Pokemon in box 2. Plus the Pokemon in my current party that I can work with making a team for the Elite Four. So, yeah, this is the end of this episode. Next episode, depending on how quickly the matches go, I may be able to show off everything in one video. If not, it'll be like 2 videos. But I hope people enjoyed this episode, and I'll see you next time. Today, I'm going to be challenging the Elite Four in Pokemon Yellow Legacy. This is Jabari Mongoose. Please like and follow if you enjoy this. And this is my Pokemon Yellow Legacy Hardcore Nuzlocke challenge that I've been running for a few months now. This is going to be my final team. We're going to start with Quit W, my Hypno, who's rocking Psychic, Tri-Attack, Hypnosis, and Dream Eater. We then got Benji the Victory Bell. They're rocking Razor Leaf, Sludge, Wrap, because that's broken in Gen 1, and Sleep Powder, because that's also broken in Gen 1. We then have Adrian, who's been very valuable in the late game, my Blastoise, who's using Surf, Ice Beam, Hydro Pump, and Counter. Fade the Magneton, our replacement for Kingpin the Pikachu, who's rocking Thunderbolt, Tri-Attack, Thunder, and Reflect. We then got Mano Sky, the Aerodactyl. They're rocking Earthquake, Hyper Beam, Sky Attack, and Rock Slide. And then finally we have Kokiri the Gyarados, our longest living member in this party. They have Blizzard, Fly, Hydro Pump, and Hyper Beam. The Champion's Ace Pokemon is level 65. Everyone is scaled to level 60, which I think is pretty fair and balanced. And without further ado, let's begin. The first member is going to be Lorelei, the ice and, let's be honest, water expert in this game. She's going to lead off with her Slowbro, and Quit W, the Hypno, is going to start us off in this gauntlet. Hypno is going to land a Hypnosis to put Slowbro to sleep, and the plan is to switch into Fade to knock it out with a Thunderbolt. However, Slowbro gets the very lucky turn 2 Wake Up, and I decide to be safe and go back into Quit W. Slowbro has Earthquake, so I want it to fall asleep on the switch into Fade. So fortunately, Hypnosis does land a second time, and Fade comes in for another attempt. Slowbro stays asleep, and we go in for a Thunderbolt, and we get the one-shot. Her next Pokemon is Coister, and Fade's going to outspeed and is going to get the one-shot. Being at level 60, we are over-leveled for Lorelei and Bruno, unfortunately. But that puts us pretty even against Agatha and Lance. And then our rival is going to be over-leveling us. We also one-shot the Dugong, and then this is where things get a little challenging. Her Jinx is a pain in the butt. So it lands a lovely kiss, and what you're about to see here, she misses some blizzards, and Quit W is just taking a little snoozy snooze. And so she decides to go for some bubble beams because blizzards aren't really hitting. And fortunately, our special is pretty high, so even when a blizzard does hit, it doesn't do that much damage. But as you can see here, I am just constantly sleeping, and this is getting lame. After a crit, Quit W does decide to wake up, but at this point I didn't want to risk any crits or a hit from a blizzard, so I switch into Adrian. Adrian unfortunately does fall asleep, and so now I am succumbed to how busted sleep is. And I'm on the receiving end of it. This kind of sucks. So we go into Kokiri, and I fall asleep again. and I take some psychics. Again, my special falls. I get crit. This is this is already rough, and we're only at the first Elite Four member. I switch into Fade, who comes in on a Bubble Beam, and after some Tri Attacks, we take a Psychic, and 2 Tri Attacks is enough to get the knockout. So finally, this pain in the butt is gone, and then her Ace Lapras comes in, and we just be safe and land a Thunderbolt, and we get the one-shot. So all in all, pretty straightforward, but that Jinx was annoying. Up next is Bruno. His fighting types and his Onix will be interesting. Onix did get a humongous stat buff in this remake, or in this ROM hack, so it's not that much of a pushover. He leads off with his Hitmonchan, I lead off with Quick W, and we get the one-shot with a Psychic. His next Pokemon is going to be Poliwrath. We outspeed, we one-shot with another Psychic. He leads off with his Hitmonlee, and we go for another Psychic. Next up, we go into Onix. Now, I decided to switch because Onix, again, does have the massive stat buffs, but Hypno is not as physically bulky as he is specially. So we go into Adrian and go for a Surf, and the other reason why I'm keeping it in here is to try to get a little style points here. We have Counter, and the goal is to take hits from a champ and then dish back double damage. The problem is, Adrian is not hitting with these counters. At this point, I feel like we're taking a little bit too much damage, so I decide to switch back into Quit W. We avoid a paralysis on the incoming Body Slam, and we just one-shot with another Psychic. So yeah, first 2 members were very straightforward and easy. I kind of expected this. Agatha is here where I'm expecting things to kind of balance out a little bit. Agatha leads off with one of her Gengars, and Manosky is who I decide to lead with here. After switching my moves out a little bit, I go for an Earthquake, which Manosky outspeeds the Gengar and gets the one-shot. Her next Pokemon is going to be her Golbat, and I go for a Rock Slide, which I love the Rock Slide animation Gen 1. I think it looks pretty badass and threatening. Her next Pokemon is Marowak. Now, normally she has a Haunter here, but I think this is a very excellent change. We switch into Adrian on an incoming Body Slam, we get paralyzed, and then he goes for an Earthquake, and we get fully paralyzed, but he's not doing that much damage, so I figure it's safe to switch, stay in, and we land a Surf to get the one-shot back. Her next Pokemon is going to be her Arbok, and at this point I switch back into Manosky. And then I switch back into Manosky, and she goes for a substitute. I kind of predicted that. I've used Arbok in Crystal Legacy, and its Sludge Bomb and substitute shenanigans are pretty cool. So right here she lands a Glare, and at this point she's just trying to get some substitutes in, and hoping I get fully paralyzed, but Manosky is like, I'm not having any of this. And this is also a good reason why there's no items in Gen 1, so this Arbok can't Black Sludge or leftover shenanigans to get more substitutes out. So basically this thing gets into like 1 HP territory, and we're just able to get the knockouts. A bit of a slog, but I'm just happy I didn't get paralyzed during all of that. Her last Pokemon is going to be Gengar, and this thing is a little threatening. So he goes for a Mega Drain, and I switch into Quit W, who, to my surprise, is able to outspeed and gets the one-shot with Psychic. So, hey, that's pretty awesome. And at this point, this is going to be the end of the first part of this Elite Four challenge. Tune in for the next episode, where I hope to beat Lance, and then after that, hopefully my rival. So, again, leave a like if you enjoyed this. I'll see you next time. Well, here we are. This is the last episode of my Pokemon Yellow Legacy Nuzlocke challenge, whether I win or lose. This is Jabari Mongoose. Please give a like and follow if you enjoy this. And right now, let's get into our battle of Lance. Lance has a team of 5 Pokemon. What's interesting is it's the same Pokemon he will use in Crystal Legacy, minus the Zapdos. I lead with Adrian the Blastoise. We outspeed to my surprise and one-shot with an Ice Beam. Up next is his Gyarados, and I switch into Fade the Magneton, who's able to take a Surf with no problem and retaliates with a very powerful Thunderbolt that gets to one-shot. His next Pokemon is going to be his Charizard, and I switch into Manosky, and you might notice that Manosky is paralyzed. Well, that's because I forgot to cure it from his battle against Agatha's Arbok. But fortunately, I don't get punished, and we're able to one-shot with the Rock Slide. And then his next Pokemon is his own Aerodactyl. So right here I go back into Adrian, who's very physically bulky. We take a Wing Attack with no problem, and even take a Rock Slide with no issue. Don't even get flinched, and we one-shot with a Surf. Then finally, Lance's last Pokemon is his best Dragonite, and we outspeed and one-shot with an Ice Beam. Again, that also surprised me. So this is a humongous motivation boost because I have all 6 of my Pokemon before fighting my rival Adam. Yeah. His ace is going to be at level 65. I have a bunch of 60 and 61 and 62. But I do have the EVs I get from fighting wild Pokemon trainers, so, you know, it should all balance out. I finished healing up my Pokemon, I cured Manosky's paralysis, and now it's just one last battle before the end of this run. Here we go. Adam leads off with his Alakazam, and I lead with Quit W, the Hypno. He starts off with some double teams, but Hypno is not going to be fooled by that, and we land a Tri-Attack. One more Tri-Attack will get the one-shot, but Alakazam also uses Thunder Wave. While he's using Recover shenanigans and double team shenanigans, like, I'm getting pretty nervous here. But I ultimately just decide to stay in because Quit W resists all of his psychic moves. And even though I get paralyzed a couple of times, I'm really not missing much of my attacks. And after a few recovers, again, this is very stally and annoying, but we're able to land one good Tri-Attack that also crits. I really don't know if that matters, and we get the one-shot and the level up. His next Pokemon is going to be Rhydon, and I switch into Benji the Victory Bell, who takes a Rock Slide with no problem and retaliates with a critical hit Razor Leaf. That gets the one shot. That shouldn't be a surprise. His next Pokemon is going to be his Gyarados, and I go for a Sleep Powder that gets to sleep, and this allows me to comfortably switch into Fade without getting hit. Fade then outspeeds and goes for a Thunderbolt that easily gets to one shot. He has 3 Pokemon left. His next Pokemon is his Arcanine, and I opt to stay in to land a hard Thunder that actually crits and gets the one-shot. And his next Pokemon is Executor. Now this thing gave me some problems before. I still stay in the Fade, and we get the Tri-Attack that gets the burn. Oh my god, we're getting all the crits and the status conditions here. Now he goes for an Egg Bomb that does decent damage. If I remember correctly, Egg Bomb is a grass move in this game. So I switch into Kokiri, who takes neutral damage on the Egg Bomb, and we just go for a Fly. With the Reflect and stuff, a super effective move should kill with the burn, and it does. He has 1 Pokemon left, and it's his Ace Jolteon at level 65. I go into Fade, who takes a Headbutt, not really any issues, goes for another Headbutt, and we hit a Tri-Attack that does about a third of damage. Fearing Fade could get knocked out, I decided to go into Quit W, knowing that he's paralyzed, but just wanted to at least do some damage. And we go for a Psychic that barely misses on getting the kill. And after Jolteon does a few headbutts, finally does a Thunder that hits and crits. And, but that's okay, because we go into Manosky, who decides to retaliate after losing a friend in Quit W, and we knock him out with the Earthquake. And that's it. That's the run. We won. My first Legacy game beaten. I lost in Crystal Legacy against Koga, so it feels good to be able to come into Yellow Legacy and able to win in such a dominating fashion, honestly. This was a lot of fun. I want to thank anyone that took their time to watch, like, and even comment on this series and these videos. It was a lot of fun to record and make this. If you want to watch, if you've tuned in towards the end of this and want to see all of them, they are on TikTok, but a more organized fashion is on my YouTube channel. I'm also going to upload a very long video that has every single episode in order, so there will be a playlist and a super long video, so however you want to watch it. Yeah, so just going to let this little Hall of Fame graphic go through to see all of my team that helped me get through this. And yeah, I'm going to be doing another one. I think my next series is going to be Blaze Black 2 Redux, which was a Drayano ROM hack that was updated, because it's like the original is like 10 years old or something. But yeah, no, this was a lot of fun. And if you like this series and want to follow or subscribe to my YouTube channel, I'm trying to get enough followers or subscribers to where I could start live streaming on the occasion. So yeah, this is me just getting a little rambly towards the end here, but yeah, no, this is Jabari Mongoose, and again, I hope you like this series and tune in for more in the future.